I would say that the number one positive experience from sharing your story is that you connect with other people that have gone through similar situations in their cancer journey. All of our journeys are unique and individual, but all of us have heard the words, you have cancer, or you have leukemia, or whatever it is. So we all at least relate on that.
What were you so afraid of in sharing your story, and how does that align with others who have shared their stories in some of the books that you've written? What is it that makes people afraid to open up about these unseen illnesses?
For me, it was very much about, like I was saying before, who am I to show up and share my story when others have gone through worse? But there's also things like judgment. Like when you share your story, how is that going to affect the relationships you have, right? How is it going to affect the relationships you have with your friends or your close family or your extended family or colleagues? I would say that's like the biggest thing, is the fear of judgment. And then also when it comes to work, and I write about this in the Perspectives on Invisible Illness book, is what do you do, or do you say when it comes to your cancer, whether you have a job, whether you're going to interview for jobs, which I started to do again recently. There's a lot of hard decisions when it comes to cancer, but I would say probably the number one fear is judgment.
And for you particularly, and maybe you can even share some instances that others have shared with you, because you've spoken with so many and all these contributors. I'm curious about that fear of what might happen if I open up and share something. I fear that judgment. How much of that for you was like an anxiety of a perceived, maybe a judgment will occur, and then what was it actually like when you finally did?
For me, I really did not think much about judgment when I first started sharing my story.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of happened. A friend of mine, Jenny Gold, had a show called Podcast Not Podcast. And it was a show where people shared their stories about different autoimmune conditions. And it all happened very quickly. And she invited me on the show. She had known that I had cancer. I had shared that with her at some point. Not many people had known at that point. But I just took the leap. And so many amazing things have happened as a result of sharing my story, as well as other people that have been on Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. And I can't wait to see what happens. There's some people in this book, Perspectives on Invisible Illnesses, that they're sharing their story for the very first time. They haven't shared it on video. They haven't shared it on a blog. They haven't shared it anywhere. And it's the first time that they're sharing their story. And I'm so honored that they would want to do it in this book. But I do think it is important to think about the ramifications, both the good and the more challenging, when you share your story, because it is going to change certain things for you.
Okay, so I like this line of conversation, because how you describe, there's fear of judgment from the outside, from, will this affect my employment? How will my friends react to me? How will this change relationships? Among several other fears that one may have. And what relief have you felt in opening up? I mean, like in weighing this, it seems to me that you're an encourager of people to share. And so that this,
Absolutely,
vastly outweighs not sharing.
Yes. I would say that the number one positive experience from sharing your story is that you connect with other people that have gone through similar situations in their cancer journey. All of our journeys are unique and individual, but all of us have heard the words, you have cancer, or you have leukemia, or whatever it is. So we all at least relate on that. And I just feel there's a special bond in the cancer community, because we've all been through our journeys, and we can share our stories with each other, whether it's privately or publicly. And there's just a special bond there. And it just creates this, it's almost like having another family, like this special family of people who understand what you're going through to an extent, health-wise, which I never expected. I just kind of jumped into sharing my story out of nowhere in a matter of a few weeks. But it's been such an incredible journey the last few years, having conversations with people, building friendships, and many people I consider family that I've met over the last few years, whether it's sharing my story on other people's shows like yours, Randy, or through my own show.
Oh, so what I hear from you is something that I just believe rings so true, is the power in community and experience that connection to sustain someone. Like for me, for example, I have 7 different communities for, different spheres of my existence. And through my darkest moments, I've had these communities to belong to.